Hot diggity dog. If you want to clarify your message, create a marketing plan that works, and get virtual coaching from a StoryBrand expert, then you need to register for the live stream marketing workshop on July 19th and 20th. Yep, with your registration, you get access to keynotes from Don Miller, JJ Peterson, Cooley Callahan. You get virtual coaching sessions throughout the whole workshop. You get digital workbooks and a brand script. You get the replay sent to your inbox that you can watch for up to 2 weeks. Register now and get your marketing straightened out. Okay? Stop jacking around. Use the link in the show notes or go to live.mitchalverson.com and register. You're listening to the Daily Business Podcast with your business coach, Mitch Alverson. This is the place for daily coaching because when you have a coach, you get better results. The average person spends 30% of their time daydreaming. In fact, much of the time when we're talking to others, listening to speeches, scrolling through our phones, and even eating a meal, we are completely checked out. You know that's true. You know you do it. Daydreaming and checking out aren't bad things. In fact, daydreaming is literally like a survival mechanism. When we daydream, we're conserving mental energy in case we need it later for survival. All that stuff's happening behind the scenes. You don't even know it. Literally, if something isn't interesting, your mind will put you in daydream mode so you don't use the energy you might need later if you encounter a threat. Sadly, this means most of the time we are trying to explain something important to somebody. They're fighting the temptation to daydream. Unless the only tool known to man that can stop people from daydreaming is story. When we start to hear a story, we stop daydreaming and pay attention. Story is that powerful. Most people, though, don't know how to tell a story and certainly don't know how to filter their message through the ancient elements of story in order to get people's attention. Well, for you, that changes today. I'm going to teach you a formula for telling a story and then spend the next few episodes unpacking that formula so you can create great marketing messages, give terrific presentations, and command attention. Here we go. Hey, let me ask you a question. What daily planner are you using? Well, let me tell you what I'm using. The Full Focus Planner. Let me tell you why I love the Full Focus Planner. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, I buy it on a subscription. It shows up every single quarter. So actually it shows up a little before the quarter starts. So I'll have time to get in there and start breaking things down and get it set up. Now, that might sound like work, but let me tell you something. That is another part of it that I love. This planner is sort of what I call analog. It's not digital, okay? Now, I love that. And if you don't like that, if you're like totally online, totally digital, I've got to have everything synced up in my 17 calendars, then it's not for you. Maybe it's not your planner. But I love it. Let me tell you why. I get to open it up. I get to write down. I get to basically look ahead to the quarter that's coming up. And it forces me to plan, forces me to think, forces me to look at goals. Today I was going over my quarterly goals that come from my annual goals. Now let me tell you this. Prior to the Full Focus Planner, I didn't have annual goals, but I have them now. And that means I have quarterly goals. And that means I have a big 3 that I work on each day. And that means I'm never, ever lost as to what to do. It also means I'm working on the right stuff. So if you struggle with any of that stuff, maybe you should buy a full focus planner. The link is in the show notes. Let me tell you something else. If you go to Full Focus Planner without using my link, you are going to pick the lane at Chick-fil-A that goes the slowest. Understand that's what's going to happen. So don't even think about it. Get the Full Focus Planner and use my link to get it. Okay, I'm back. Now listen, we're right in the middle of Don's book, Don Miller's book, Business Made Simple. If you don't have the book, go to Amazon, grab the book, come back and pick up this podcast and follow along with me. So today we're literally getting right out of the book on page 98. So we're talking about how to clarify your message and how to use story to do it. Well, there's a formula that great, stories use. And I'm going to give it to you real quick. So a character with a problem meets a guide that gives them a plan that calls them to action that results in success or failure. And that's it right there. A character with a problem meets a guide that calls them to action that results in success or failure. So here's the deal. I'm going to give it to you real quick. Here's the story formula. Here's the pieces of it, right? So the character has to want something. So I have a character with a problem and he has to want something. If he doesn't want something, then it's boring and people are going to check out. That's not a story that anybody wants to see or go, hear, right? It has to be specific. Now, the character also encounters a problem. So we can't let the character get what they want or the story won't be interesting. So we've got to define some kind of problem that the character is struggling with. And the problem is key. It's a big deal. If we don't define the problem, people will stop listening. They'll stop paying attention. The character meets a guide. Now, I want you to think of these are the best examples are like the Star Wars movies. Luke Skywalker meets Obi-Wan Kenobi. He meets Yoda. Both Yoda and Obi-Wan play the guide for Luke. Okay? They help him overcome his shortcomings. They help him overcome these different things. Luke, use the Force. They point him in the right direction so that he can win the day and defeat evil and the whole 9 yards, right? So the guide calls the hero to action and gives them a plan, right? So he gives them a plan, and usually, they use that to help them overcome the problem they're having. So in Rocky, I think it's Rocky 2. If I'm wrong, let me know. But in Rocky 2, they move Rocky from maybe Rocky 3. Where he tries to, go train and do all this fancy stuff. And finally, somebody tells him, hey, you're going to have to get out of here. You got to get out of the city. Let's go somewhere else and train. That's like the plan. And he finally, figures out like he's been kind of checked out and he comes back and he beats Clubber Lang, right? So there's the plan and the call to action. All that stuff is there. Now for us, in our businesses, the plan, and the call to action, here's the thing. If we don't call them to action, guess what? They're not going to do anything unless unless they're absolutely like ready to buy and they know exactly what to do. They're not going to do anything. So we have to call them to action. Now, the resulting in success or failure. Now, in our marketing, this is how we define the stakes, okay? So success is, how does life look after they've done business with you? If they do business with you, if you're a plumber and you can, fix the toilet and do all kinds of things, then you have, life looks so much better. I'm not worried about the toilet overflowing. I'm not worried about, the guests that are coming, this weekend, all that stuff is kind of taken care of for me. However, failure, if I don't call the plumber and get this worked out, then I could have a real mess on my hands if I don't get this fixed, right? So failure could be embarrassment, a mess on my hands, all kinds of things. So we have to define the stakes, whether that's success, reminding your audience about what life looks like if they do business with you, but also reminding them about failure, right? Now, you got to be careful with failure. You don't want to overdo it. Failure's like salt in a cake. You need it, but if you put too much in, it's going to ruin the message. So, in the book, Don gives a great example, and I'm going to read it to you, and you should hear the pieces of the formula in this. Okay, so this is for a baker to sell wedding cakes. All right, here we go. Every bride wants a beautiful wedding cake that reflects the meaning of the moment. The problem is that most wedding cakes taste terrible and literally leave a bad taste in the guest's mouth. At 8th Street Bakery, we got tired of bad tasting wedding cakes and developed a process in which gorgeous wedding cakes can actually taste fantastic. To work with us, simply make an appointment, come by the shop for a taste testing, and schedule your cake for delivery. Schedule your appointment today. If you do, your guests will be astonished at the beauty of your cake and keep coming back for seconds. Don't let your cake be a bad tasting letdown. Schedule an appointment today. Now, that's a great marketing message, and you should have heard every single piece of the formula in there. The character wanted something. Every bride wants a beautiful wedding cake that reflects the meaning of the moment. The problem is they most of them taste bad. Meets the guide, 8th Street Bakery. We got tired of bad tasting wedding cakes and developed a process in which gorgeous wedding cakes can actually taste fantastic. The plan, there was a 3-step plan there. Work with us, make an appointment. So it was make an appointment, stop by for a taste testing, and schedule your cake for delivery. 3-step plan. The call to action was schedule your appointment. They talked about success of your guests being astonished at the beauty of your cake and them wanting seconds. And they talked about failure. Don't let your cake be a bad tasting letdown. So that's the formula in action. Okay. So what we're going to do as we go along over the next few days is we're going to go a little deeper on those, on the pieces of the formula. So thanks for listening. See you tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Daily Business Podcast with Mitch Alverson. If you got time, please subscribe to the podcast and consider rating and reviewing the show. That way, other people will find us. By the way, I really love to hear from you guys, so please email me at mitch@3advisors.org with your feedback or questions. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Business Podcast with Mitch Alverson.